Welcome back to Studio Chatter. It's not uncommon to look at ourselves and wonder why we haven't become what we want to be. For some help with that challenge, let's welcome Jody Robinson to the Chatter. Welcome.
Hello. It's so nice to meet you all.
Oh, it's so nice to have you.
for coming. And there's nothing better than chatter. And so I'm good at chatter.
Oh,
and
good.
my friends would say that. So
Fantastic.
glad to be here.
Well, we just want to chat. So, what has brought you to this place?
So
Yes.
I think that we all arrive at a space in our lives where we really say, am I who I want to be? You know, am I who I'm supposed to be? And when I think of the word dream, some people look at dreams and think, okay, that means, you know, going to Italy or buying a yacht or how, you know, driving a Lamborghini. And mine was driving a minivan 10 years ago. Let me tell you, I was like, I want the minivan with the sliding doors, and I've had it for 10 years. I'm ready to move on.
To move on to a new dream.
To move on to a new dream. But a dream to me is the gift of becoming, what you give yourself and what you give others. And so some kids that I was around recently, and a friend of mine shared this. She said, isn't it interesting how you ask kids, what do you dream of? And immediately they're like, well, I want to ride an elephant, or, you know, I want $1 million so I can give it to my friend who has cancer. And then she actually said to a group of women, probably about 50, and she said, what are your dreams? And she said the room was silent. And I said, you know, isn't that interesting that word trips us up, when in reality a dream is a beautiful thing. It's the gift to become or to create. And so I came into it with that desire to say, I turned 50 on January 7th, and that's just a couple days away whenever this airs, but I started this journey 10 years ago. But to me, it's a way to become and to not go into maybe the worldly side of looking at dreams, but looking at it as attributes.
Right.
What helps you become the woman of your dreams, the person that when you leave this life, you say, I lived a good life.
So, was there some epiphany when you were turning 40 or after you turned 40 that just
that did it?
Yeah.
So mine happened 20 years ago, and to be honest, it came through my mentoring work. I started, of all things, mentoring women in addiction recovery, and I had known nothing about addiction recovery. I didn't study it in college. It was one of those things, you answer an ad in a newspaper and you show up and you're like, I want to do good and I want to volunteer. And I got turned down in the beginning. They said, we don't need you. And then the director called back and said, we do. We need somebody to do stuff for Santa. So I fell into this spot in a place called House of Hope, downtown Salt Lake. And these women accepted me, little Jody Robinson, who led a pretty clean life in comparison. And all of a sudden I realized that it's them who I was admiring. I'm like, oh my heavens, they are creating a life, because their life became nothing. You know, so many of them lost family, so many of them lost even homes, belongings, and it was their 12-step programs, it was their meetings, it was their groups, it was them getting excited about creating life that honestly opened my eyes to say, wow, what am I doing to create my life? You know, do I really have a plan? They all have a plan. They have a workbook this thick. And what am I doing? And growing up where I was in a faith-based program where we had something that youth, our young women's group did it, and we progressed through that. But I couldn't even remember some of what those goals were. So it started 20 years ago, and my inspiration of all things came from Sydney and from Wendy and Kelly and the women that I could name who let me into their lives and showed me that you can dream even when you've hit rock bottom. You just have to decide to get up and say, I can become whomever I want to be. And that gift you give yourself. So we made dream catchers for one of the activities that I did, and we'll talk about that at another segment. But, you know, you catch your dreams, and I kind of developed my own curriculum, and I didn't call it curriculum at the time, but I started teaching these classes, you know, and I don't know anything more than the next person, and I use a lot of research and books from really much wiser people than me. But when you put it all together, it just helps each one of us define, you know, our dreams because they're unique to us. And I think it's good to wake up to them. So it's interesting that who inspired me were women that didn't know what dreams were in the very beginning. And I see them with their houses, with getting custody of their kids back. I mean, all these things that I just had no life experience with, but
Do you stay in touch with them?
I do, and some of them are my dearest
Really?
friends. So it changed my life, and it changed how I see what a dream really is. Because when you help a woman who doesn't have a home, and she's moving into her first studio apartment, and she doesn't even have a bed, and somebody has donated a bed, and I've found silverware and sheets, and and she is thrilled. That dream for her is just amazing. And so it doesn't have to be big and audacious. It has to be everyday life. And those, as one movie that I just saw puts it, little moments of infinity, but a dream is living your life how you want to live it, with joy and happiness, contentment. And even if you never make it to Europe, you can do enough in your living room and in your kitchen and in your home, in your minivan, to create the life that you dream of just by what you carry in your heart.
How do you think? I think I love that. I can remember as my 15, 16, 17, dreaming big. I'm going to see. Then you get married. Then something happens. Then the kids come. Then
like, wait a minute.
And I was thinking that. I'm 48. And I was thinking, how did I lose that?
Right.
What happened?
And isn't it interesting that we can say that? We can say we lost that, but why don't we get it back? So come to one of my workshops. But really, and what it is it's doing this. It's chit-chatting, it's sharing, and it's getting that excitement. One of the things that I taught years ago, and it didn't come from me, someone else did it, and then I, said, hey, this works. Getting out Play-Doh, and you know how colorful Play-Doh is and how good it feels? Just feeling it and playing with it, all of a sudden, gets your mind wandering. And so I think when all is said and done, there's tools and tips that you can use in workshops, and you do it with other women or men. And I love helping teens, realize what their dreams are, their aspirations, by who they are and not what society tells them they're supposed to be dreaming. Because the dream, you've accomplished your dreams of getting married, having children, and even doing this program. I'm sure there was something that led you to this place. And so,
aren't you the one that initially thought of this?
Yeah,
how wonderful! So you're a dream maker. You're a dream maker.
Look what you've created.
So don't you think it's the way that you put that dream up there as how it's supposed to be defined, and then go, oh, wait a minute, I don't have any, but really you do. And then it's celebrating the fact that you've had
keeping
dreams
it going.
and
I
keeping
think that's
it going.
what it is as well.
Yeah, and we all get stuck. I went through lung surgery 2.5 years ago. Half my right lung was removed, and I didn't know if I would ever get to really enjoy the out of doors, and our family really does. We just did a 20-mile hike to Lake Havasupai Indian Reservation.
Yes, that's a tough
Back
one.
night it was, and I did that. And
did?
that was and that was a dream that we saw on the internet. We were like, that's a destination we want to go. My husband was turning 50 and I'm turning 50, and so we took our family. But to think that my body can do that I can do that with 1.5 lungs. And so it's how you frame it. You reframe the dream, and be very careful what words you use, how you use them, and who you share with, because you don't want dream squashers. You want dream builders, And I love being a dream builder for anyone who wants to come, and I get them all excited. Then I get excited about what they're going to achieve.
So you're probably huge at getting people to write it down, like their dream, but then you have to
I was
dissect
just going to say
it
that,
and
yes.
do the small things, because it is about the journey. Sometimes you get to the goal, but right then you're like, achieved, now I want to get on to this one.
Exactly. And I think there's a way to, it's if you want to go on a trip, but what attributes are going to allow you to go on that trip? And so if you break down what you want to become and look at it in those attributes, those personality traits, and then build upwards to what the action plan is, that helps. But I'm not a list lover in terms of creating that plan for the goals that then are all measurable. How do you measure if you want to become more compassionate? That's a dream of mine, to become compassionate, to where when I die, somebody says, you know, she was compassionate, you know. So it's kind of looking at it and saying, yes, you need a map, but let's let your map be your own individual map. And getting to your goals is going to be by personality traits and attributions, and those steps will automatically bring and draw in, by the law of attraction, those dreams that you aspire that are more tangible.
I love
you know?
it. That law of attraction is ooh.
I know.
I just love that.
I believe it. And
I do too.
I had something just land in my lap the other day that I just went, oh, I thought
Lucky
of
me.
this, and how it's sitting
It is,
right
it's
here.
crazy
And
at
so
times.
I just trust that the powers of the universe and the great God, you know, just says, I do good things, and
So is
when you're
that-
trying good things,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Is that how your program kind of works? Is people individualizing who they are and then kind of mapping the plan?
Yes, and I probably make it sound a lot more complicated than it is, but it's really a conversation and getting in a room. I really, really love small groups. You know, I've spoken to big groups and hundreds of people, but that's a different kind of message. But when you can get 5, 6, 10, 15, maybe 20 at the most, people together, and you help them get in their groups, and there's certain questions, obviously, that you answer, but it's allowing yourself to open up and to really be aware of what is it that you want? What do you want to become? And to become who you want to become, what do you have to do? What do you have to change? And changing is hard. Who wants to change things? But that awareness also is such peace, because once you can make that change, you have a greater chance at becoming who you want to become in your dreams. So as much as it's a really, you know, it's a mapped out course, if you will, but it changes by who I do it with, by
Right.
ages. Some of it's a little bit more interactive, and I love creating new opportunities. And the group of women that I do a podcast with called The Living Room, we are having an event on January 17th, and then there'll be one in February also. And it's Live Your Dreams in 2019 with ease and grace, because you've got to ease, you know, you can't do this in a night. You know,
Right.
this is a process, you know. There's maybe one dream to make a batch of fudge and eat the whole thing. I can do that in one night. But no, those dreams that matter, they take a little bit of time and effort. And so it's easing into it, doing it with a lot of grace, and feeling confident. And so there's 3 co-hosts. We'll all be together to motivate and to set a plan, and to help you along the way. And then if you want to come to another workshop, you're welcome to go to the next one and the next one. And I love that you create dreams through that connection, because
I'm excited to hear
It's
about the tools that you have for it.
well, I'm
All
happy
right.
to share.
Well, hold that thought.
Okay.
We're not done with Jody yet. Stay with us.